So today I will be diving deeper into living from curiosity and why do I use the word curiosity? What's the significance of that? And what really changes from that perspective. So we are all always living from consciousness, but we get this like a placebo effect. We get this belief that we are our minds. And so even though we are always the consciousness, we start experiencing as if we were the thoughts, and we become, all these negative things with fear and everything comes up, and we think we need to accomplish things to achieve our goals of feeling free and happy and love. So what we instead want to do is, instead of having like an inner dialogue between two thoughts, like having a discussion with reasons and arguments and explanations, we want to start experience from a place of consciousness, and the consciousness then experience a thought. So the relationship is no longer between two thoughts, it's between consciousness and a thought. And what's the difference between that? Well, that is actually because thoughts will always have there will always be a continuation dialogue going on about what you're experiencing, whereas from consciousness you will just experience with a sense of understanding, and not the sense of understanding like a thought, a sentence explaining what you just experienced, but just like from the silent knowing. And this might sound complicated, but we do this all the time. The trick is really to start understanding, like in what situations am I just getting caught up with thinking or overthinking, and start to understanding the switch to just letting something be as it is and experiencing it. You can experience any kind of emotion, thought, experience, whatever, from just letting it be as it is. And so I use the word curious to be with curiosity, because to be curious, first of all, you must accept that you don't know what it is. You're curious, or you're trying to find something out. But don't run ahead to like, and now I have the answer, but just be in that state of trying to find out, to stay just there. Don't take the step further. Don't try to get knowledge of the thing. To be curious about something, truly curious, you cannot be threatened by it. You have to be a feeling of safety and a feeling of I'm okay with what this is. This is nothing that's going to challenge you in any way. If you want something, for example, let's say you're doing a scientific study and you need it to be a certain way to keep getting your funds or whatever, you then try to force your opinion or belief upon what you're going to discover in that situation. But if you don't have you don't need it to be a certain way, you accept it no matter what. You're just curious, like what's this? What's going on? And when you have that curiosity, there is a tremendous freedom in that, because you don't need it to be a certain way. And there are so many pitfalls here. You might need it to be a certain way to keep you interested, instead of just being interested in finding out. You might want it to be a certain way to make it worth your time, to not be threatening to you, to be okay with what's going to happen when you find out what it is. But just stay in that state of being curious, and you will start to notice that how you experience things will be a bit different. It will be from more of a sense of being just present with something, whatever it might be. So finding these kind of states of being where you can let go of expectations and feelings of inadequacy or whatever it might be, because you can be curious. Say that you're curious about, you're trying to learn to dance, for example. And when you start going, you start to realize that everybody else seems to be doing better than you are. And so then you might get locked into fear. But instead, get curious about why this would be fearful to you. Instead, get curious about what are the others doing that you are not. Get curious about, do they seem kind of relaxed when I do it? Am I relaxed? And here's the kicker again. Stay just curious. You will find that the curious part might be a discovery which might lead you forward to growth or whatever, to become better at dancing. But don't do it to get better at dancing. Do it to explore yourself, to notice like what's going on and what's my relationship to being uncomfortable in this situation, for example. Not a story about why I'm uncomfortable. Just notice how it feels to be uncomfortable and how you relate to the feeling of being uncomfortable. And don't explain it. Just notice how it is. And that's really when you just stop and go deeper into the present moment, into the now, instead of trying to create a new story, a new belief, a new thought that you need to follow. Perhaps if you communicate, like, I know I'm being silly, I'm pretty bad at this, and then you get stuck in this explanation, and that explanation is going to protect you from feeling, stupid or bad or inadequate in some way in this situation. But don't try to avoid using a thought or a reason for creating a sense of being safe. Instead, get curious. Why would you need to be safe here? Like, what's going on? Why is this threatening to you? What part of you is this threatening to? Do you try to seem like a cool person that's relaxed and open and social? You're trying to make friends, so you want to be like them. And you just start to notice these things, and you won't need to even explain them to yourself. It's quite likely that you will start getting insights. But like I explained in another video, the insights are a reflection of how you're experiencing reality, how you're experiencing the world. They are not a thought to hold on to. For example, if you start getting curious about what's going on with you, you start to see patterns and you start to see limiting beliefs within yourself. And you're starting to see them because you've stepped outside of these limiting beliefs. You couldn't understand, you couldn't be curious about yourself without stepping outside. Otherwise, you would just still be locked into this explanation of why you have these limiting beliefs or why they make sense, or of course, why it is like that. So when you start getting insights, just let them flow. Don't just keep being curious about them. If you get an inkling to hold on to them, get curious about that. See the fear of not trusting yourself, for example, not trusting that I will grow out of this unless I hold on to something, or the belief that I must remember this thought so that in the future I can remember to do this the next time as well, to keep like growing. There is no need to hold on to anything to grow. You have already grown. That's why you had the insight. When you start living from consciousness, life will be a reflection to who you are. And so an insight of growth means you've already grown. And from this place, you will notice that the growth happens so naturally. You won't even have to try. You will just walk around accepting growth, accepting this feeling of expansion. And that is really the way. So stay curious. Stay just present with what comes up. Don't try to explain it. Just accept it. And stay curious. Thank you.